Okay, so this evening we're going to talk about conditional rendering in JavaScript. So we will look at a little React app later, but first we just need to check our understanding of a few operators in JavaScript. So specifically I want to look at the logical operators and also at the ternary operator. So firstly, what logical operators have we got in JavaScript? If you don't know what I mean by a logical operator, I'm talking about and, or, and not. Yeah, so they are our logical operators that are present in... Sorry, Wes, can you just turn the sound down on that maybe, because I can hear myself echoing, or someone has got me echoing. Someone's got their sound on, so I can hear myself echoing. Or are you watching something else? Yeah, thanks. No, that's all right. It's just a bit off-putting. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, these logical operators will be in a variety of languages, and the syntax for them can be a little bit different. In some languages, you can literally use the words, either capitalized or lowercase. In JavaScript, though, they're more symbol-based. Yeah, so we put two ampersands to denote the and. We put two pipes to represent the or, and the not is exclamation mark. Exactly. Yeah. And essentially, what these operators will do is, well, we'll leave the not for later because that's slightly different. But the and the or operator will make a logical comparison between two values. So let's say, if I delete that, is it going to give me the answer straight away? Yes, it is. Okay. So in other words, I need to not put a second answer. Yeah. So I'm going to start with or, because I think that's the most obvious for people to understand. So these operators will make a comparison between a first value, a logical comparison between one value and another value. So if I put a string to begin with, hey, why not? Let's do the classic, yeah? Hello world. So when I uncomment this, JavaScript will perform a logical comparison between the hello string and the world string. So this could be read as hello or world. And what do we think that statement will return? Hello or world. So people are saying that we think it's going to return true. That was one option. Some other people said world, or someone else said world. Any other options there, or things we might think it will return? You're all wrong so far. It won't return either of those. Undefined. It might return undefined. It's another guess. What else could it return? Hello. Could return hello. Absolutely. That's one of the values up there. So firstly, I'll tell you what two definitely cannot be right. It definitely won't return true. And it definitely won't return undefined. If we have one value or another value, the result will definitely be one of those values. Always, yeah? So in this case, yep, the result is going to be hello. Why? Well, let's understand what the logical operator does. So the logical operator will look for the first truthy value it comes across, and if it comes across a truthy value, it will return that value. So is hello truthy? The answer is yes. It's a string with some characters inside, so in JavaScript that evaluates to truthy, so it will return that. The easiest way to differentiate between truthy and falsy values is learning the falsy ones, because there's not very many of them. Just to prove that it does return hello, let's uncomment it. If not, something's gone a bit weird. And it does return hello, yeah? We'll do some more examples in a second. But firstly, let's identify our falsy values in JavaScript. So anyone shout out some falsy values that they're aware of?
0.
0 is definitely falsy, whether that's +0 or -0, it makes no difference. They are technically separate in JavaScript. Null, yep. Undefined. Empty string, good. What about empty array? That is truthy, yeah? Empty object? That's also truthy. So the only empty data type, if you like, that is falsy is an empty string. Why? Don't ask me on the logic of JavaScript. I know these are logical operators, but JavaScript is not logical sometimes, and you have to learn its little quirks. Although that one does come in very useful, I must say, having an empty string to be falsy when you're evaluating some text in HTML and stuff. So we've got, so far, we've got the number 0, we've got null, we've got undefined, empty string. Any other falsy values?
False.
Yeah, false is always a good one to remember to put in there. Yeah, false is definitely falsy. One more. Not a number. Very good. Yeah. So there should be 6 if we group 0 together. Yeah. So we've got 0, null, undefined, empty string, false, and not a number. These are our falsy values. That means if we put any of these values and then the OR operator followed by something that is truthy, we are always going to get the second option, because the OR operator will see the falsy thing and check the next item in the list for, or the next value that comes after the OR operator. Yeah? So whether I put here undefined, whether I put here null, whether I put here, what haven't we used, not a number, whether I put here empty string. Have we done null yet? I can't remember. Null or 0. All of those, you see, return the first truthy value, because the falsy value just doesn't get returned. However, what about if both of them are falsy values? What happens then?
Undefined.
So you're saying undefined. Is that just because in general it return undefined, or? So what did we say earlier, Darius? It can't be false because it has to be one of these two values. Yeah? The OR operator will either return 0 or it will return undefined. That's the only two options we got. So it definitely won't return false. You think it's undefined? Would you care to hazard a guess as to why?
Because it checks the 0. Because that's falsy, it has to go and check the second one.
Exactly. Yes, everyone got that? It checks the 0. It says that's falsy. What's the next item in the list? That's falsy. Can I check the next one? Oh, there isn't a next one, so I've just got to return the last falsy value. So the OR operator works by returning either the first truthy value it comes across, or the very last falsy value. Yeah, first truthy, last falsy is how I remember it, yeah? If you want to break it down into its simplest form. Of course, if that was 0 or not a number, it would return not a number, yeah? If we had a truthy here, the string true, truey, is that a word? No. Or let's just say another string with something inside. Yeah, so a truthy value and a truthy value, of course, we covered this already. It returns the first truthy. If it returns a falsy value or a truthy value, we're of course going to get the truthy value. What other way around have we got it? I guess the only other combination we haven't covered is if we have a falsy value and a truthy at the start, it is of course still going to return the truthy value. Yeah, so we can chain these on as many times as we like. Of course, it's just returned the first truthy value. It's not even evaluating any of this code. If this one was also falsy, we get the last one. If somewhere in here, oops, we have a truthy value, it's going to return that straight away. Does that make sense? So OR is looking for the first truthy value. If it finds one, it returns it. Otherwise, if they're all falsy, it will just return the last falsy value. That's it really for the OR operator. That is how it works. These don't just have to be individual values. We could have whole objects in here with key value pairs. We could have a function. This is quite a nice one, right? Oops, sorry, my fault. I hit enter. I shouldn't have hit enter. I'm glad I can bring it back like that. Tell you what, just to make this a little bit clearer, let's clear that. Yeah, so that returns the function because the function is truthy. Yeah, it wasn't one of those falsy values we listed. So we could do null or a function or another falsy value, and it will return the truthy function for us. Notice it doesn't invoke the function, it's just returning the function declaration. If I wanted to invoke the function, what would I have to do? If I wanted to actually just output 99, yeah, so we can group the function together and then stick some parentheses, and that will immediately invoke the function. And that will return 99. So weird example, but I'm just trying to get across the fact that we can have some complex values in there. It doesn't just have to be single primitives or very simple values. We can have whole functions. In the case of React, we can have a whole component. Right, we can literally conditionally render a component based on the first component that is truthy, or we could have a value stored in the state to begin with. Yeah, so we've got a state variable here, and if that state variable was false, then, well, yeah, I'll show you an example, but let's say if that state variable was false, then this would get rendered. If that state variable was true, then this would not get rendered. It would just return true. But we'll see an example of that in React later. What does this do? Let's do the same example. What will that return when I uncomment it? What was that? Hello world, do you think the whole thing? Because it's hello and world, so it's concatenating them. That's a possible example, possible answer. Any, world? No, sorry. With a space, Darius? Not Darius, Daniel? Or, huh? Without space? Okay, yeah. Okay, that's another possible answer. You know when you've written a word so many times, you just think it's spelt wrong. I'm doing that now with world. It's like, is that how I spell world? Any other options? Okay. So the OR operator essentially works as the opposite. Sorry, the AND operator, that's what we're on, isn't it? Essentially works in the opposite way to the OR operator. So it still has to return just one of these values. So we've got two options essentially. It's either going to return hello or it's going to return world. Both of strings, of course. So AND doesn't concatenate. That would merge the strings together in JavaScript. Daniel, here, the plus operator. So we had the AND operator, which means we're either going to get hello or world. In the case of OR, it returned the first truthy. So what AND does is it returns the first falsy value, or it returns the last truthy value. As these are both truthy, we are going to get world. So Wes was correct there. And a little celebration there. No sweets. I feel like I should be giving out the sweets, you know. I'm back in secondary school.
I've watched this on video already, so I should remember it.
Have you? Okay. Well, it's good recap. Yeah. So as we can see, hello and world returns world. All right. So shout out any value in JavaScript. Not super long because I don't want to be here all night, but give me some values and we'll guess what it returns or work out what it returns. Go on, Alana, you're looking at me. So. True. So you want true as the first one. Another value for the second one. Anyone?
False.
True and false. All right. What does this return? Shout it out. False. Correct. Yep. Because it looks for the first falsy value, which in this case is also the last value. So if I had true and false, or, so we're mixing them up now. Lost my comment, there we go. Or let's say something truthy in here. What's that going to return?
Going to look for the first false, yeah?
Well, the AND operator returns the first falsy, but the OR operator returns the first truthy. So we've combined them here into one statement. What's going to happen? Say again? Truthy? I think it's going to return truthy as well. Yeah? So what's happened first is it's essentially done that bit first, because if you looked at the precedence of operators in JavaScript, I think that AND operator just has one more precedence than the OR. So this will get evaluated first. We've just worked out that that comes to false. So we're left with that, false or truthy. And we said the OR operator looks for the first truthy value. So of course that's what we're going to get at the end. Yeah, so if you ever get weird JavaScript like this, and you shouldn't see it very often because it's not a nice way to write code, but if it does happen and you know someone's done this really weird function and it's got all sorts of horrible stuff going on here and you're like, whoa, hang on, that's just too much, then break it down into the pairs. So first do your ANDs, you know, evaluate what that becomes, then do the ORs from left to right. So false or truthy, okay, well we're left with truthy. Truthy or not a number, we've still got truthy. Yeah. So that's how I would work out those statements. Alright, that was pretty theoretically heavy. So
is that used much in proper code, this syntax?
It's used in...
It's quite opaque.
We use it quite a lot in React to toggle components on and off.
But you don't have to.
But we don't. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we would literally just have two things like a stateful variable in here, or a changeable. Should I just put changeable variable for now? Changeable variable that is usually going to be either true or false. So essentially we've got a boolean, something or other, and we've got our React component, something like that. Yeah. So if, as I said before, if this one here is going to be false, oops, then our component doesn't get rendered. Yeah, so in other words, this could be something called render component, So if that was false, the component will not render. If that was true, the component will render.
So it's like a smaller way of doing if else, if true or if false.
Yeah, it's a shorthand way, if you like, of saying if something like render component. Jeez, thought I'm in a snippet. So if render component is true, then, in other words, just sort of do not return. Just this whole thing needs to be in a return. Getting a bit messy now, but yeah. Then component. So then we're going to render the component, and then we'd have an else, or just a general return. And I don't know what we're going to do. Maybe we're just going to render an empty div or something like that for now. Yeah. So you might end up with something like that, but the shorthand way is just doing that. Cool. Before we jump in and do that, so that I haven't just given you the answer straight away, I'm going to test your memory, so remember that pattern. Then I want to just come to Darius's very interesting question. So Darius mentioned about array-like objects, and you see this term thrown around a bit, and it's not often clear what array-like objects are. And apparently the definition from MDM was an object is array-like if this object has a length property. So in other words, we can do object.length and it returns true, and we can index the object so if both of those conditions are true, then something is an array-like object. Otherwise, I am not an array-like object. As this is a snippet, make sure we wrap it. Oops. And the indentation should be double indented after the ternary operator here. Other things I need is to close my little block of code. Cool. So if we can call the length property, so if that's true and that is true, then we will end up with what in here? We'll log it to the console, so if you're not sure, and we'll throw in some example objects to see what we get, and then we'll return the whole result of the function. Yeah. Okay. What objects would you like to put inside of here? Maybe we should start with an array, should we? I mean, I guess is an array-like object an array? Technically, yeah.
So when you say array-like, it's not actually an array.
It isn't an array. No, it's similar to an array, but it is not an array. So that means that we couldn't use any of the array methods on it. We could not call .map on it. We could not call .filter on it. Yeah? All of these are array methods. They are only available to an instance of an array. They're not available to an instance of array-like objects.
So if you're looking at them, what's the difference?
So if you're looking at them, it's quite hard to tell the difference.
Right.
Yeah. So we did an example earlier. And for example, you can create an array like this, and we could pass in some values, and that creates an array for us. And that just gives us this square bracket notation and the number 3 here. I can expand it, and I get the indexes, and I get the length. Alright, so these two key things that we said we need for an array-like object, we can index it, and it has a length property. That's there. It's an array. It inherits from the built-in array object in JavaScript. However, I'm in incognito mode, so I'm quite curious to see what this returns, but we tried this example earlier on a non-incognito page, and it worked, so I'm going to try it again. There are two DOM list sort of structures that we can get when we query the document object model, like a node list or a HTML collection. They are both array-like objects. So I'll generate one of those now. So I can call document.getElements. Yeah, this will return a single element because it's got one ID. But any of these methods that have the plural elements are going to return an array-like object, either a HTML collection or a node list. I always get them a little bit mixed up which one returns which, but that's fine, we'll find out, yeah? So I thought the easiest way would to be just get them by tag name, and pretty much in any page we should have a div, yeah? Okay, cool. So even in incognito mode, we can see that we have 5 divs on this blank page. We have a div content, a div icon, one with an ID of bullet points wrapper, yeah, etc. Right? There's 5 of them, and it says HTML collection, but look, the syntax is essentially a square bracket still. So it almost looks like an array. If we didn't have this word here, HTML collection, we could be mistaken for thinking it's an array. Yeah? Drop down, and it's got indexed values, it's got a length property. However, I'm trying to think of an easy method we could call on this collection now, so bear with me while I think on the spot. So let array like equals that, and then what method could we easily call on it to get a result? Maybe it doesn't even matter, right? So if it was an array, what method, or give me a method that we should be able to call on it? Filter? So if I type filter, if that was an array, I should be able to pass some things into there. I'm going to use an even simpler one. I should be able to just call pop, right? I should be able to pop the last element off the list, so that I end up with an array of 4 elements, and div.bulletpoints has disappeared. Yeah, that's what array like .pop should do. Oh, array like .pop is not a function. Yeah, so there is no method called pop for a HTML collection. The only methods we have available to our HTML collection, well, they were listed for us when I did that. We can call item, we can call length, named item has own property. So all of these are inherited from the object prototype. So it is a type of object, but the others, well, some of the others are unique to HTML collections, or HTML collections and other things, yeah? Pop is definitely not there, that's just there because that's what we tried. If you looked at the list earlier, if you rewound the video, that would not be there. Yeah, so it is not an array, it is just an array-like object. how could we convert it to an array? There's a few ways. There's the array.from method, and we can pass in our array-like object. So I'll call that HTML list array. Yeah. And then if I now type HTML list array, then we should actually have an array. Or at least something that's inheriting from the array prototype. That's all that really says, but yeah, it's an array now. Or we could do any other ways you can think of using some ES6 syntax? How would we create a copy of an array usually? Or what's one way to create a copy of an array? Yeah, we can use the spread operator, right? So we can create a new array instance, put 3 dots, and then, sorry, not the array one, so we wanted, what did we call it before? Array-like. So we want to create a new array from an array-like object. We could also do that. Yeah, spread each of these indexed elements out into an array. That's all that says. Do that. Let's put it into the console. Maybe that's getting chopped off the end of the screen, so let's clear the screen. Can I do it like that way? No, I have to do it that way in DevTools. So now if I list my second HTML list array, we can see that we've successfully created an array again. Yeah? So I thought that was a neat little bit of trivia that Darius asked me. And array-like objects, there's quite a few of them, but we can't do much with them on their own. So it often makes sense to convert them to an array first, so that we can map over them, we can filter them as Darius suggested, and we can do all these other operations, yeah? Arrays are very powerful in JavaScript, so it makes sense to convert things into an array often.
So if you wanted to change something on the DOM, you would have to convert it to an array and then change it back to an HTML collection or something.
Yeah, let's say you wanted to change all of those divs, then you would probably just convert it to an array and then map over each element and change something on them, yeah? But that wouldn't be as easy.
Why did they not just use arrays?
Good question.
Why did they give methods to use on array-like objects?
Yeah, I can't answer that fully, but all I can say is obviously a HTML collection is optimized for what the DOM needs to do and for what the browser needs to do, and it doesn't need to have all of these methods on it, yeah? Because obviously each method it inherits, create a new instance of these things, then that's just taking up a tiny bit of extra memory in your program or in your page load, but over time that could be significant, yeah, or in a large application that could be significant. So it makes sense to keep these lists as small as possible and to not enable them to do very much, just the original task in hand, which may have been 20 years ago and is quite different now perhaps, but at least they were optimized back then for what they needed to do. That's my opinion of it anyway. I can't give a full answer, but that's what I suspect. And standardization when it comes to the DOM and the browser is an ongoing battle, right? So I think we're doing better than we did at some points in the past, so I guess we should be happy for that. Oh, look, is that... Oh no, we've just written that. Oh yeah, we've just written that. I thought that was the old snippet back. Yeah, so I could have stuck my HTML collection in there, but actually a string technically is an array-like object, right? Because it has indexable values and it has a length property. Things like a set are not they are iterables, and we can create arrays from them easily. But a set is technically not an array-like object based on that definition, right? So I've just pulled this definition of MDN, so maybe it's a contentious point, but that's the MDN definition for it. It must have a length property and have indexable values. And that is how we'd use a ternary to conditionally render a sentence, yeah? So if these two conditions are met, if they're both true, or if they resolve to true, then print I am an array-like object. Otherwise, print that second string. Okay, so we're conditionally rendering our output, or conditionally returning a string from a function. And the same principles can be applied to large applications to just conditionally render a whole page. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a very simple string. We can use ternary operators to conditionally render whole pages or whole components in our application. So it might look simple, but it has some powerful applications when we take it far enough. Cool. Sorry, any questions before I just leave the snippet and leave the...
So could you use this for if you're logged in or logged out?
Exactly, that's what we're going to do now, yeah. That's the simplest...
maybe why it popped in my head.
Simplest application of it I can show probably, yeah. It's for a log in, log out.
So your nav bar would look different.
Yeah, your nav bar would look different based on whether you're logged in, log out. You might show the sign up form if someone's logged out, and then you'd actually show them the dashboard or the content if they're logged in, right? That's a conditional render of a page or of a component. And at its most basic, you could do it something like this. Sorry, I should have taken all that out, really. Right. I'm just using the... That was the answer. I'm just going to use the application that we saw a few weeks ago, and we were looking at a counter and looking at state. So we could also use state to hold whether we are logged in or logged out. Of course, we've got to go through all the authentication steps, but I'm saying at the end of that process, let's just create a stateful variable that stores whether we are actually logged in or not. How would I do that? Using hooks or using a functional component? A little bit of recap here.
Using hooks?
Using hooks. I'm in a functional component, so I want to use a hook. The useState hook, yep, so I'm going to import the useState hook up here, and then I can use it. What's the syntax to create, let's say, an isLoggedIn variable?
Square brackets.
So first, constant to define a variable, destructure a couple of variables into an, destructure our array result into a couple of individual variables. I want to say isLoggedIn, yeah, and then yeah, let's give us the ability to change that logged in value. Good, and that is equal to the useState method, and we can give it a default value. Usually we're not logged in. Well, actually that's not so true, is it now stage? It stores our login state often in the browser, so we can just open up pages again and we are logged in. But let's assume that this is our first visit to the application and we are logged out. Cool. Yeah, now let's say if we're logged in, display the dashboard, otherwise display sign up page. Yeah, so let's just imagine we've got two components, yeah, dashboard and sign up. What sort of pattern could we use to display that? I think the ternary is best, yeah, because I've got two components that I possibly want to render, not just one that I want to toggle on and off, but I've got two outputs, a truthy output and a falsy output. So I would definitely start some sort of ternary, and let's say if is logged in is true, so in other words, if we are logged in, I want to display the dashboard. So does the dashboard go here or at the end, or where does it go? After the question mark, yeah? So this is our condition. So if that is true, then we want to display some sort of dashboard component. And if not, we want to display the sign up component. And yeah, good. We need to use curly braces, sorry, because this is a bit of JavaScript code and we are inside a tag. We're inside a bit of JSX, so we must put it inside of curly braces. Yep.
It should be is logged in as well.
Oh, is logged in, yeah. Sorry. Okay, and now, I mean, that's not going to work because we haven't got a dashboard and a sign up component, but we could quickly create one. Let's see what errors get thrown at us. Imagine we did just do that and we didn't know what was going on, so we can just do npm start. And of course it's going to throw an error. Yep, dashboard is not defined and sign up is not defined. Yeah, I haven't created those components yet. So we could just very quickly do that. So we could do a dashboard .js, and we probably want to import. Do we even need to do it? Sorry, is this a waste of time, guys, or do you want me to recap how to do this? Yeah, so import React from React. Just wondering whether I needed to do that. Let's skip that for now and see if we can get away with it. So let's return our dashboard. And why am I doing that? Function, right? Create a function. This is my mind racing ahead to what I need to do. I apologize. And return, I am the most beautiful dashboard you have ever seen. Oops. I highly doubt that. I am the most beautiful dashboard you've ever seen. Cool. Want to export it? Default. So this is just making it available in the rest of our project for those who haven't come across this yet. And let's do the same, but what do we say? Sign up. .js, and we can do the same. And I am the most beautiful sign up page you have ever seen. Boom, 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 boom. Alright, still says it's not defined, so what do I need to do? If I've exported something, I need to import it. So at the top, to make this file aware that these things exist, I can use my ES6 module syntax, import. The dashboard is one of them, and the other one was, I'll just type it, it's going to be quicker, and the other one was the sign up. Beautiful. Okay, still not defined. Is logged in dash, oh, sorry, yep, so we need to assign it into a variable, right? Import dashboard from dashboard, import sign up from sign up, and now everything's defined. Let's try and get rid of the warnings. Good practice to get rid of your warnings. That's going to be a hard one to get rid of, to be honest. It should let me do that. Yeah. So obviously in a real app you'd need the ability to change the login state, but for now we haven't implemented that function, so I'm just going to leave it at this stage in the process. And line 34, yeah, that's all my comments down here. Let's just get rid of them for now. Right, so now we've got it successfully compiled, no warnings or anything. What we're going to see on the screen, guys, Yes, so what, is it just going to say the word sign up? I know we're going to see the sign up component, but we're going to see, yeah, we're going to see that. It's probably going to be very small and unstyled, but let's have a look. Yeah. Yeah. So that has successfully rendered the sign up page. Oh, I missed beautiful out. So I'm the most sign up page. It's even got typos and spelling mistakes. It's really bad, this component. Let's fire this guy straight away. Yeah, worst component ever. Just leave it at that. And if somehow we manage to change it to true, or hang on, this is an interesting one. So let's change it to a load of gibberish string. What's going to happen now? It's going to be the dashboard, yeah, because this is a truthy value. So is logged in evaluates to truthy, and therefore the dashboard is rendered. It doesn't have to be true or false. This, if it's truthy, it will render the first result. If it is falsy, it will render the second result. My random string is truthy, so I will now get, I am the most beautiful dashboard you have ever seen. Again, that statement is definitely false. So that's it, really. That was all I wanted to show. Any questions or thoughts on how you would want to take that further? If I instead had show dashboard, I'm not even bothered about rendering the sign up page, what can I do? It's not going to like that. I can't sort of start a ternary operator and then end it. If I've got a ternary, it needs two options, right? Sorry, and that needs to be show dashboard. So I could do something a bit weird like that. If I've said show the dashboard, then show it. Otherwise, just put an empty string in there. But that seems a bit redundant and pointless to me. So what other operators did we use earlier on? What logical operators did we use? And and or, yeah? So, which one do I use in this case? And or? Yeah, and. If I put or, it's going to return true. Yeah? So we need the and operator. True and the dashboard component. Because we don't know, but the dashboard component might return the number 0, and we might want that. Yeah? So a falsy value is okay to return there, as long as this one is true. It means true and something, it's always going to return the something. Just to, I guess, prove that that has done that, we're still on the dashboard. Questions? No?
Say you had a lot of components on a page.
Yep.
And you might display half of them on one condition and the other half.
Yeah.
Is it best to do it in one statement or sort of a list of statements?
No, I'd probably have a list of statements, yeah. So you could just have a list of things like that, right? And you could just say show component set 1 and show component set 2 if that's what you wanted to do, really. There's lots of ways of doing it. Whatever works just best for you and you find the most readable. But I think this is perfectly understandable, right? To display components, to toggle components in that way when you're used to it. Yeah, and then you're just letting React render the DOM. Yeah, you're saying this is what I want to display. You work out how to display it. Yeah, it's declarative. That's what. Sorry, not declarative. Yeah, declarative. Yeah, that's the React principle.
Because in the projects I've done on Ruby and Rails, you have to actually write code in the HTML. If current user are logged in, display this else.
Yeah.
And this is not tidy.
Yeah. So React says, look, you tell me what you want, and I'll work out how to display that in the DOM. That's the principle of React. That's what it was built on, as opposed to you having to actually declare every single bit of HTML and this is what I want and all the conditions. Then, yeah, you just do that essentially, and it will work out the best way to repaint and draw the layout again of the DOM. Yeah, so it will go through those paint phases and the float phase they call it. It used to be called the float phase. I don't know if they call that anymore now. But yeah, cool. So I think quite a simple thing to understand, but a really nice shortcut for making logical conditional rendered components. Easy to follow, I think. That one. Good. I'll leave it there, and we can either go straight into the board challenge, or we can do half an hour on the project work and I'll float around and then finish off with the board challenge again. Does that sound right? You want to do the board challenge now, and then if you want to leave